Hello there, this is Tosif, and I'm gonna visit Paris today. And I'll be telling you some facts, hidden stories about this beautiful and fantasy world. Well, Paris. I've heard about this city my whole life, the love, the lights, the magic. But standing here right now, something feels off. Like there's a version of Paris the world shows you, and a version it doesn't. And what's underneath? It's so much darker than the postcards. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll never look at Paris the same way again. Well, right now tourists are out there sipping coffee, kissing on bridges, taking selfies, everything looks perfect. But directly beneath their feet, there are 6 million human skeletons. Not one, not 100, 6 million. Well, back in the 1700s, Paris had a crisis. The graveyards were so full, walls were literally collapsing into the streets, bodies decomposing in the open air, disease spreading through neighborhoods. So the city did something no one had ever done before. They went underground 200 miles of tunnels and they filled them with the dead. But they didn't just dump the bones. They arranged them, skulls stacked in the perfect patterns, femurs lined up the bricks in a wall, almost beautiful in the most unsettling way possible. Tourists can visit a small section today, but most of those 200 miles, dark, unmapped, sealed off. And some people who went exploring the restricted parts never came back out. Okay, now this one. There is a real documented psychological condition called Paris syndrome, and it only happens here. Think about how Paris has been sold to us our entire lives. Movies, songs, social media, every romantic fantasy you have ever had. Paris is usually somewhere in the background. People arrive, suitcase in hand, heart full of expectations, and then the metro smells, the water is cold, the streets are loud and crowded, covered in graffiti. A stranger bumps into you and doesn't even look back. And for some people, that gap between the dream and the reality is just too much. Their mind breaks, hallucinations, paranoia, full psychological collapse. The Japanese embassy in Paris maintain a 24-hour hotline specifically for this, just for tourists who fall apart. The city you were sold was always just a story. And then there's a part of this that people don't put on postcards. June 1940, German forces marched into the city and Paris, this symbol of freedom, of revolution, of human rights, surrenders without a battle. Swastika flags hang from the Arcade Triomphe, from the Eiffel Tower, Nazi soldiers parade down the Champs-Élysées, the most famous street in the world, for 4 years. Some Persians resisted bravely, quietly, at great risk, but others stay silent or worse. Well, that history is still in these streets, in the buildings, in the stones. Most tourists walk past it every day, smiling and never feel a thing. You know, the Phantom of the Opera ride, dramatic, romantic, completely fictional. Expect not entirely. Underneath the Paris Garnier, Paris Grand Opera House, there is a real underground lake, not a legend, not a metaphor, a real lake, sitting in the dark right now. When they were building the opera house in the 1860s, they hit swampy ground, couldn't drain it out, so they just built around it, sealed it in concrete, forget about it. Today, the Paris Fire Brigade uses it for scuba training, which is normal and totally normal. And in 1896, a chandelier at the same opera house really did fall. A woman really did die. Workers at the Palais Garnier still report cold spots, props moving on their own, a figure masked caught briefly on security footage. They don't like it to talk about it, but they don't deny it either. Paris, fashion capital of the entire world, had a law making it illegal for women to wear pants. Yes, pants. Introduced in 1800 and officially legally removed in 2012. The city of love, just not all kinds of love. So here I am, still standing in Paris, and I'm looking at the same lights, the same streets, the same building, impossible city, but now I see it differently. I see the 6 million beneath the cobblestones. I see the people who arrived here full of hope and broke apart. I see the flags that once hung where freedom signs do now. I hear the chandelier falling in 1896. I picture women in 2011 still technically breaking the law just by getting dressed. Paris is one of the most beautiful places on earth, but beauty has always had a shadow. So tell me, if you ever go to Paris, would you want just the pretty side or would you go looking for what's underneath? Drop it in the comments. I actually want to know. And if you want more stories like this, real history, hidden truths, the side of the world nobody talks about, subscribe because this is just the beginning.